You have found yourself on another episode of Locked On Bulls. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about everything to come out of training camp in day one with my guest, Stevo. We're going to get into all that and more. But first, got to play the intro.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily Chicago Bulls podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every single day. I'm Haize, but more importantly, I'm joined by my guest, Stevo, from the Chi-Town Sports Central Network. What's going on, Stevo?
What's the word?
Hey, man, you guys, today's episode is brought and sponsored by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. With that said, man, Stevo, before we get into the ins and outs and things that have come out of training camp in day one so far, we got to talk about this, man. There's been a lot, basically, of the Bulls right now being patient in this part of the process, whether that means patient on finding destinations for Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic, patience to see if these young players take the next step up to kind of help decide and guide the next route of this team and where everything's going forward. But the Bulls right now just seem to kind of be content to just wait and see where things are going. Do you think that's the right move for this Bulls team right now, is to be practicing the patience right now? Should they be already being a little bit more aggressive? What do you think?
I feel like given the situation, the situation says you have no choice but to be patient because you don't really have no power in either, whether you're trying to move Zach or this, that, or Vooch, or you don't know what the future holds with the future players of the young players on this team. So therefore, with your team being more young than old and the whole direction flipping in a matter of months, like, you have no choice but to play the patient game because you have nothing but more young players than old players on this team. So yeah, like, the best thing you can be doing is brainstorming some things that y'all can do to go towards the position that you have or vision that you have set for the future, or unless you just really plan to sit back and watch, roll, and see what happens, who's going to take the mantle and take it as far as they can. You can go that route, but it's a lot of routes you can go. But like you said, patience is best given with the current situation. You don't know what Zach is going to do. He sounds like he's trying to buy into what's going on right now. But then again, we hearing whispers that we're still trying to shop him. So you don't know. Vooch just looked like he's stuck. Like, he don't know what he don't know. Like, obviously he here. He getting paid nicely. So it is what it is. Pat coming off injury. We don't know. Zoe is Zoe. And yeah, everybody else is just fine-tuning their role, I guess.
And I mean, you hit the nail on basically every point that we had there. Every player that while we're practicing patience, one of the players that we're practicing patience on, as well as Patrick Williams. Do you think that when you look right now, of course, about Kobe White, a lot of people, even though they'll try to act like they thought he would have that season that he did, do you think the patience in Patrick Williams, who's been one of the players that the Bulls have been most patient on, always basically is coming to every season as the starter? He's lost the starting role in a couple of seasons, but he's come in every season as a starter to begin the season. Do you think we're going to see that patience in P. Will finally start paying off for this Bulls team?
I mean, out of everybody that's been here at this tenure with this team, with Billy Donovan, with AK and Mark, he's had the most patience given out to him compared to anybody else. Mm-hmm. Now, with that being said, yeah, I still feel like to a degree it's going to be a level of patience with him due to the injury. But because they drafted Montes Buzelis, that kind of knocked down that patience level just a bit, because now you got somebody in a room that's going to play the similar position who they're going to compare him to, and what the people and the fans and the front office's teammates, that's who they're going to compare him to. So if Montes is starting to make strides and steps in development, we going to look. The players going to look. The front office is going to look. And that's going to amp up the pressure on a P. Will to, per se, make his stake in his claim in his role as a power forward. Now, like I said, do I still feel like he's going to get some leeway because of injury? Yeah. As of now, he's going to be our starter. He's still part of the future core, I should say, until he's not, because like I said, we've not taking a lot of trades that could significantly help us because we didn't want to give up P. Will. So until I say he's going to have that patience till he's not, and I think big Montez Mazzella is going to be a big reason why that patience dwindles down.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Patience, I mean, modest, and depending on what happens and how Julian Phillips is coming to camp, which we haven't really heard a lot about Julian Phillips either. Now, for the credit, I will say this: Patrick Williams is in some of the best shape of his career. I've talked about it over in Central when I went in.
Did they say that man was 240?
238, bro. 238. That's crazy.
And he don't look like he got like.
He doesn't.
It's not like it's like fat. It's just.
He must be down to like 2% body fat, bro. To be 238, and he does look bigger, but it's not like his frame is that much. I mean, he's always had an NBA like ready body. He's come in like Modest Bucilis, where you could tell Modest needs to put on a lot of weight. But for P. Will to be at 238 now, we'll see, man. We'll see.
He gonna be getting rebounds coming down, elbowing him up, and knocking people out like Dwight was.
Yes, man. Listen, Dwight was so violent, bro. Like, we don't talk enough. People don't give enough credit for that. That like 4 or 5 year stretch where Dwight Howard was literally a top 5 NBA player.
People don't give the East the credit. The East was running the NBA at that time. I don't care what nobody's saying. Atlanta was a threat. New York was a threat. Orlando was a threat. Boston and Chicago. That's like 6 teams.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. But another player that is hopefully going to benefit from the patience in him, and I can see him being much like on the Patrick Williams path, where we're going to talk about this for another couple of years, but Dalen Terry. And Dalen Terry is a player that they already picked up his 4th-year option, which they were going to do anyway. But I think when you look at how Dalen went from his first year to his second year, where in that first year, it was just energy. Like, you could tell Dalen didn't know where to be sometimes. He looked lost out there sometimes. He was just happy to be in the NBA. Last season, it started to look a little bit more like he was trusting his instincts, right? Cutting at the right time, diving into the pass lane at the right time. That one game where he hit 3 3-pointers in like the first 5 minutes he was in the game and was taking them confidently. Like, Dalen is another player that I think when you talk about patience, that you hope that it eventually pays off, because the Bulls drafted him understanding that he was 2 years away from being 2 years away. And so now at this point, I don't think you need to see anywhere close to a finished product for Dalen, but you do need to start seeing a Dalen Terry that understands where and when to be and how to affect a basketball game. Can't hear you, Stevo.
I think last year we've starting to say we've starting to see that more Arizona Dalen Terry. I've coined the phrase to call him Crash Bandicoot, because the first year he was just running. He was just running into people, reckless, not thinking. And last year started to slow down for a bit. The handle was starting to come together a little bit, and then you started to see that what he did good and what got him drafted in Arizona started to come out, making them open threes in the corner sometime. Now that's something we starting to realize, that he really need to work on his form and his jumper, because I think that's something he realized, like, I'm not going to be as open as I am in college. So for me to make that shot, I got to work on this three. Realizing that he's 6'7", and sometimes he just need to get to the rim. He started to realize that last year as well. Mm-hmm. And we all know, like, his vision is probably one of his most underrated traits. And I think the last 2 years he's been suffering from decision making. Now I think the IQ of the game is starting to get to him. Now he's starting to make some more precise passes, and now he's just starting to understand his role. And yeah, I knew this was kind of going to happen. I knew he was going to give him this grace, because, like you said, I knew they was going to pick up this 4th option. But Dalen just need to worry on doing the things and fine-tuning the things that got him drafted. So when it's time for him to get in the game, because when he gets in the game, he's going to have to make them shots, them timely passes. We already know the defense is there. One thing he also need to worry on, which I think is because he's young, fouling, but that just comes with experience in the game. But yeah, on the offensive board, I think that shot gonna get down. He's been working with the Bulls staff. We've seen what he did with Kobe. We've seen what he did with Io. I'm expecting the same thing. He working with Jibba too much. I'm expecting that handle. We've seen what he did for Io and Kobe. So I'm expecting the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I love what you point out, because it's not just about the shooting. Like, of course, we'd love to see the shooting come along for Dalen, but a Dalen that's controlled, that understands how to get to the rim and tighten up that dribble, that with the energy and the way that he can get in the passing lanes, especially because we're going to miss, that's a great thing. Merge the the Derrick Jones Jr. and Javonte Green roles.
Yep.
That's how I want Dalen Terry to play. It's just energy, and always finding a way to do something. It may be a big steal in the game. It may be hitting some shots. It may be transition dunks, especially playing with Ayo and Josh Giddey. But just find your one thing every single game to make an impact on. And I think Dalen, like that'll be a great foundation now for Dalen to go off on going forward. So
yeah. Because if you look at it, that's a little bit what Ayo did. Ayo took the advantage of what he had to do, and just did what he was necessary. What the role asked him to do. He had started point guard, even though he wasn't the greatest facilitator. He got better at it as the game went on. His decision making. They needed him to come in and score and make shots. He worked on that. We all know Ayo couldn't make a layup to save his life, and now when he goes up for a layup, we don't hold our breath anymore.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Like I said, I'm just out of all of the main people in this core that I've seen them get better, it's the main two, Ayo and Kobe. And with them working with the same people, with Dalen working with the same people, I'm just expecting the same or somewhat of the same thing.
That's fair. That's fair. Next up, we're going to be talking about a lot of the details that come out of training camp day one. But before we get into that, I got to get into a message from one of our sponsors, and that's FanDuel. All right, y'all. I've been talking to you guys about FanDuel a lot, and you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. That's America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more, all on the same page where you place your bets. I've been telling you guys how much of an advantage is that, especially if you're a bettor, if you like to get in there and bet on or make bets and parlays in the middle of games. That's a great asset to be able to get your play-by-play, to get your live stats, to get everything, all your news in the same place where you place your bets. It means you don't have to try to go to ESPN and Bleacher Report and try to put all this information together. FanDuel is giving it to you all on one page to make it for easy access for you guys. And we know how some of y'all like easy access. No diddy. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets guaranteed with just $5 bets. So visit FanDuel.com. Again, that's FanDuel.com. They should have never let me be the only one doing ad reads, bro, because now it's about to be it's a Haize experience is all I can say. Petty Roosevelt may not be able to host Locked On Bulls, but Petty Roosevelt can do the ad reads on Locked On Bulls is all I'll say there. But Stevo, let's get into day one of training camp, man. There are a couple things I want to hit on first, and we can kind of go all over. I think that for day one of training camp, for Lonzo Ball to do some, not all the full contact, but to do some contact drills is a big step in the right direction. How you feeling, Stevo?
When it comes to I'm like, when it comes to Lonzo, it is what it is with Lonzo. Like, I'm not expecting anything from Lonzo. Like, yeah, to hear those words that he expected to be in full contact, he's expected to possibly opening night. That sounds good. Like that's the thing. It sounds good, but like, what is he gonna look like? Like, how is he actually gonna feel? What is his mental is gonna look like? Like, is he gonna look like Lonzo on the court? Like, that's the type of things I'm worried about. So, like, I'm not really putting, not even too much. I'm not putting any stock in Lonzo this year.
That's fair.
He back. I'm glad to see. It's a miracle that he already back. It's a miracle that he's gonna play some NBA minutes this year. But I'm not expecting much. So, but it's nice to hear that he's working hard. It's true that it shows that he's a hard worker. He's fighting for his dream. He wants to continue to play what he loves to do. So yeah, I'm happy for that aspect. But for the team aspect, for the Bulls basketball aspect, I don't know what's going to happen with him.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think when it comes to Lonzo is just whatever you get from Lonzo out there is an added benefit. It's just the way that I look at it. Well, I mean, it is what it is. I always look and keep in mind, Lonzo had 2 experimental surgeries, but Jonathan Isaac in his first year back after being out for 2 years, He played like 15 games at 11 minutes. Like,
Yep.
and then he was able to come back the year after that, and he turned himself into one of the best perimeter defenders in the game of basketball. He still only played like 60 games, but he was able to take what he did that first season and then build off on it. And I'm not saying necessarily that means that only expect 15 games from Lonzo or whatever, but just temper those expectations. And I just look at it like it's just good for the story. Lonzo, and I know he's not under contract after this year. We'll see whatever happens with that. But like Lonzo being able to get back on the court and being cleared, it just seems like it's going to happen. We still don't know exactly when, but it's going to happen. And that's great for Lonzo. That's great for his mental. And I do love having him as well here. And Lonzo talked about it in Media Day, doing some more mentorship things as well. Because I think you let Lonzo sit down with Dalen Terry, like you can learn a lot from Lonzo. Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing. Like, he has some Lonzo isms in him. Like you said, he got Lonzo size. He's, I don't know, about the same athleticism. Maybe Lonzo a little bit more athletic, more quicker, but same length. Can play defense. I don't know if he's more hands-on compared to him, but that's something I feel like he could teach Dalen. I mean, of course, the point guard skills he could teach Dalen as well. But I don't know what his main position is going to be. But yeah, like I do like more of him in the mentorship type of role, more teaching, more of a coach on the floor, because that's what I see him kind of being towards the end of his career anyway. Is that Jason Kidd, that on the floor coach that every player needs. So I hope he don't go on to just do what he can. That's all I got. Do what you can. Stay healthy, and get your players around you better. Make them better, because that's what a point guard does.
That's a fact. That's a fact. One of the biggest surprises to me that came out of first day of training camp, this isn't even about the players, this is about coach. I don't know if you saw this or not, Stevo, but Billy Donovan has turned over the defensive scheme and play calling to Wes Unseld Jr. How do you feel about Billy Donovan coming to at least the realization? See, the defense still ain't going to be good. I'm not saying that Wes Unseld Jr. is all of a sudden going to unlock some different level of defense, but we've seen Billy Donovan not really turn a lot over to his assistant coach. We, for a lot of years, have asked, all right, what exactly are the assistant coach? What is Billy Donovan allowing those assistant coaches to do? It seemed like they more so focused on player development, sitting down with certain groups of players. Each assistant coach in the past had their own position group that they sat down with. They did their tape things and that type of evaluation. But now to hear that Wes Unseld Jr. is getting those defensive play calling responsibilities, how you feel about that?
I feel like he ducking his taco. Because I really do. I really feel like he dug in his taco, because defense wasn't really the issue in the past, and it wasn't necessarily a scheme thing. I think it was just because we had ACZO and we had people that can really just communicate well. Booch, not the greatest on-ball defender, but like I've always said, he's been on some teams that have some good team defense, and he know how to communicate out there when you have others on the court. So when you have people like that, it's kind of hard to have a bad defense per se. Now, with those people now being gone, yeah, you finna be like, well, where the defense going? He gonna be like, well, it ain't me. I gave it to West. What's the reason? That's what I feel like it's doing. The real, you need to give the West off everything. How about that? How about you just be, or your assistant coaches, you should run it like football. You be the CEO. You don't need to be the main, because we already know you ain't drawing up nothing. We already know that. So you might as well allow your whatever, your son, whoever is bringing up your assistant coach next, Chris, let him make some plays and let Wes do the defense, and you just make the pivotal moments of rotations and stuff like that. How about that? But to me, I feel like he's just trying to avoid accountability, because we all know this defense not about to look the same.
And I said that when I talked about it over in Central, I said a conspiracy theory brain. What if he is just trying to avoid the criticism of the defense? He wants to have somebody else to scapegoat. But I'll offer this just for the nature of the conversation. You have two veteran coaches here, Dan Craig and Wes Unseld Jr. These guys have been heads of player development. They've been lead assistants. They've been associate head coaches as well in previous teams. And for Billy Donovan, somebody who has shown sometimes a lot of times a lack of creativity with inbound plays, late game adjustment, things like that. I would love it if Billy Donovan turned more into the NFL model. If he's the head coach and you have your offense and defensive coordinators. I would love for him to be able to do that.
That's what
So,
exactly what I just said. That's what I want.
yeah.
Like it helps hide the deficiencies, and there's nothing wrong with that. That means you know yourself. So if you know yourself, you know your limitations, and you hired some people. Because don't get me wrong, what his decision, I didn't say this, but his decision of making him responsible of the defense is not bad. Wes had some good defensive teams in the past, so it's not a stupid decision. It's very smart on his end. But at the end of the day, I don't think defense was our main concern with this team. It was a lot of other things. It was stuff at the head coach position. It was clock management, timeouts, challenges, rotations, offensive play calling, offensive adjustments. It wasn't necessarily defense.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see what comes along for the Chicago Bulls, what corrects itself, what doesn't. Last thing, as far as the training camp details, as far as like no rotations, nothing like that came out, so there's nothing like that. But Josh Giddey being limited in that first practice. If the fact is that Lonzo did more contact stuff than Josh Giddey. Are you concerned at all about what that means for the start of the season of Josh Giddey, or do you think they're just kind of being kind of protective to make sure that he's ready to go by the start of the season?
I'm sorry. Every time I hear Josh, I keep hearing Seaway, the diddler. He's the diddler. I keep hearing her saying it. I mean, if the injuries are significant enough, is this the injury from the Olympics when he got on the last play?
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. So, everybody thought he just twisted and rolled the ankle. Apparently, it was partially torn ligament in his knee. But
I was about to say he rolled the mess out of it. Like we saw that last play, like that didn't look too good. Yeah. So if it's a knee injury on top of an ankle, set him down. Like honestly, set him down. Like we ain't playing for nothing, especially at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So if as of now, even if he's hurt 20 games, and I don't even think it's that bad. We can, if we're trying to quote unquote stay competitive, like they have been saying during media day, and we're trying to make a final push. We could. I don't think it's necessarily gonna hurt. I don't think he's that hurt.
Yeah, I mean they've all communicated basically. There's no real question if he's be ready by the opening day. Everybody seems confident that he may not play in preseason, which. Okay, cool. We got enough players that we need to take a look at and figure out rotations anyway. Honestly, that if he doesn't play in preseason,
TNT, Lofton, like all those players, we need to see if they can make the team instead of him. Facts.
Yeah, so I'm not really too worried about that, and we'll see how that develops. Bro, Leroy already missed the wide open layup that then Vooch put for a putback dunk in the first practice. You're smoking layups the first practice. Get off my team. Get Leroy Javon Carter off my team, please.
You're home. You played at Proviso East. You got the keys to the gym. Work on yourself.
Smoking a layup on day one of practice is wild, by the way. But next up, we're going to be talking about the Bulls setting the day that they'll be honoring Derrick Rose. And some of you even said that it's going to be a Derrick Rose weekend. We'll talk about that after we get into the message from Gametime. All right, everydayers. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. And by the way, I've been telling you guys all the time, Gametime makes it easier to get your live events, not just for sporting events. You can get your comedy shows, you can get your theater events, you can get your plays, you can get everything, jazz concerts, everything. You can get it all on Gametime. And I know some of y'all are cheap and haven't been taking your significant other out because y'all embarrassed because they ugly, or you're the ugly partner. Either way, Gametime Picks can help you get cheap tickets to take your ugly date out and make sure, hey, listen, if you don't want to be seen, take them to the Sox game. Ain't nobody going to be there anyway. Gametime has all-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. You can also get a panoramic view of your seat to know exactly the view that you'll have before you purchase the ticket. And your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. If you can find a seat in the same section for less, Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code that's LOCKEDONNBA LOCKEDON NBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time.
I hope you know you have no future in commercials.
Oh yeah, none.
You have no future. So I just want you to look.
Hey, bro, like we gotta be real in here. What y'all want me to sell y'all a dream? I know some of y'all dealing with some ugly people, and like y'all may not want to take them out all the time. Like, listen, I'm not new to the world, bro. We know some of y'all dating threes in the faces and tens in the bodies. You still got to take them out from some time to time. Like,
yeah, we see him at Walmart. That's where we see him at. But we ain't gonna get into it.
Stop taking the dates out to Chinese buffets. Go out and actually do something is all I'm saying. But with that said,
and they be hitting at the late night for sure.
Hey, bro, they be at the Chinese buffets at 8:39 p.m. I be seeing y'all, man. But the Bulls have now set January 4th against the New York Knicks as the day that they'll be honoring Derrick Rose. Like I said, some outlets have even said it's going to be basically a Derrick Rose weekend. I'm actually looking now. I looked at tickets, bro. Like the cheap, they must have known the cheapest ticket that day is like $300, and that's in the nosebleed. So we'll see. I may be in Chicago. I may not be at the game though. We'll see what happens there. But how do you feel about the Bulls setting the date now officially to honor Rose? And do you think we could get a surprise, maybe a jersey retirement or something? What do you think we get?
I hope, because like, and then first of all, I was planning. My people was already like, all right, what we doing? But like you said, you see the ticket. We gotta do something. We gotta figure out something because I don't know if I'm $300 crazy. Yeah. But yeah, I hope they do it because like everybody knows how significant it is. It just some people don't understand, and it's funny because I remember I got into it with people on the Twitter Spaces about it, and they happened to be from Chicago, and I was like, "Well, if he wasn't from Chicago, it wouldn't be that special." I'm like, "Duh, he's from the South Side of Chicago. Like, my auntie lived around the corner where he lived. Like, that's how everybody watched him go to Simeon. Everybody watched him go to Bowdoin." Like, we watched this man grow up, and we watched him despite the odds. Once again, the last person I seen under 6'2", under 6'3", make it past the third round was Zeke. And I still haven't seen it since.
Yeah.
So the fact that he did it with limited talent, yeah, we had a solid team, but limited talent compared to the people he had to go up against, went from 30 to 62 wins, gave us an MVP. Bro, I was running home every Friday night to watch WG and to watch Derrick. He the reason why I understand sports. I like Shaq. I understood basketball to some degree, but Derrick was that person that was like, I get it. I understand that. I get it. He made me. I knew everybody college after Derrick came in the league. That's how much we mess with Derrick. So yeah, you gotta retire him. You gotta retire that jersey. Like, we don't care about everybody else. I remember somebody saying, somebody else should be like, bro, there's one person that need to get their jersey retired. We already know they're not doing it no more. But there's one person, it's Derrick. Period.
Yeah. And Derrick Rose is one of the few players that was basically universally loved. Everybody really appreciated Derrick Rose. And don't get me wrong, he had his haters, he had his detractors. I always remember John Hollinger, for some reason, had like a personal thing about Derrick Rose. Anytime somebody says something positive about Derrick Rose, he had some negative to say. I don't understand why that was, but nonetheless, like, Derrick Rose has a rule named after him. Like, let's just be clear here. Derrick Rose, there are players that are still benefiting right now from the Derrick Rose rule because of what Derrick Rose is able to do in this 22-year-old year, still being on his rookie scale contract, that they had to create a provision to get you more money. Because the Derrick Rose, did y'all know Derrick Rose wasn't even the first one to be able to benefit from the Derrick Rose rule? It was Kevin Love, actually. Like, that's how crazy it is. Like, so, yeah, I mean, the Bulls got to do something. I get it that they said a while ago that they are officially done retiring numbers, but Derrick Rose is one of those players that you make an exception for. Now, does it create floodgates open? Because then, of course, there are going to be people saying, well, why isn't Dennis Rodman? He won 3 titles. But listen, Derrick Rose is not only from the city of Chicago, he is also somebody who well, an MVP. He was one of the reasons why you have new Bulls fans. Most Bulls fans are lapsed. They either come from the last three-peat era, or they're from the Derrick Rose era. That's it. Bulls
That's
ain't
my
built
era.
no new fans other than that era. Like, it just is what it is, bro.
Like, some of your people that's my age that's still Bulls fans is on the strength of Derrick. It literally is. It's off the strength of Derrick, because that's literally my era. I was 8 years old when he got drafted. So like I said, not only did I watch him, not only did I go to Simeon, I used to pass up Bulls tickets when he was like, "Oh yeah, I got Bulls tickets. I got a Simeon game. I'm going to the Simeon game. I'm going to see the 6'1" dude. Wait till you get up under him to do a doggone windmill. I'm going to see that." Nobody, no guard wanted to smoke with him. No guard wanted to smoke with him. I don't care what nobody say to these people. Oh, Russell Westbrook feared that man. Kyrie feared that man. Darren Williams feared him. Nobody, LeBron feared him.
I don't know about that one, but
he did.
He definitely didn't want to play there.
Whenever LeBron got to sit here and say, "F it, I'm guarding you," that means something.
I get what you're getting at with that for sure. That changed the whole direction of that series, man. Them putting LeBron on Derrick Rose and nobody else being able to make a shot once they did that. But yeah, man, I definitely feel like I have to be in the city of Chicago during that weekend, even if I can't go to the game. And you best believe every connection I have with the Chicago Bulls are about to get calls in the next 3 days, because I'm going to try to find myself a way to get into the into that game. But if I can't, I'll definitely be. We may have to do another live watch party or something for the people that can't. You know what? All right, we'll talk about that later. You just gave me an idea. We'll talk about that later. Any last thoughts, Steve, before we get up out of here, man?
Yeah, y'all might as well get that jersey ready. You might as well already be up there in the Raptors by now, and the Hall of Fame can fit to get ready in a couple years to put him in too. Because I like I said, if T-Mac made it, he can make it. I don't care what nobody says.
That's a fact. But we want to thank you guys for tuning in. Y'all make sure y'all go and follow Stevo at Stevo Speaks. Y'all can also check him out on the Chi Town Sports Central YouTube page and podcast. Also on Chicago Bears Central. He's everything Central. Chicago Sky Central as well. You guys can follow me at CEO Haize, and we want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. We are free and available on every podcasting app and platform of your choice, as well as YouTube, the Odyssey app, and Amazon Fire TV. I told y'all I need y'all to get those Amazon Fire numbers up. Go and watch us over there on Amazon Fire TV. But we are out. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.